Gentlemen, Panamania continues as day 2 concludes here in the PokerStars Championship Panama main event at the Sortis Hotel Spa and Casino in Panama City. It's James Hartigan alongside Matt Broughton.
Hello again.
So Matt, we have a new feature table, and I guess it's about time that we focused on the guys making the headlines here. The overwhelming chip leader here in the last level of the day on day 2 of this 5K tournament, a man known as Gary.
I wish I didn't know about the Gary thing.
Igor Yaroshevskyy, he is the tournament boss with 710,000. Those are the other chip leaders. They include Jason Kuhn and Denis Timofeyev. But look at the chip stack of Yaroshevskyy. Just to put things in perspective, the blinds right now are 1,200, 2,400 with a 400 ante. Yaroshevskyy has more than 300 big blinds.
Yeah, but you say that, James, but I mean, this is no limit hold, and we all know the sort of trouble you can get into in just one level. So, you know, don't count your chickens.
Also at our new feature table, James Salmon from the USA, Andrew Chen, the runner-up in Berlin in 2012. At the short stack at the table, Dmitry Ivanov, who's playing just 13 big blinds. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, Matt, I am a little bit worried. We defiantly said at the start of the day, we're not going to hit the bubble till the start of day 3. But here we are, with 84 remaining, 71 getting paid, so simple math tells you 13 players gone, and that means we're in the money. And we have been losing 3 tables every single level so far today. So there is the realistic prospect that we are going to make the money on day 2.
Well, that's fine. I mean, what will be will be. I'm sure we will adapt accordingly. But yeah, they certainly are playing pretty fast and furious across the board.
So this is level 13. I'm sure those of you who are regular viewers of main events here on PokerStars TV know that we normally play 6 75-minute levels on day 2 with a smaller field here in Panama with just 366 total runners. We've decided to shorten our days slightly, and that means we're only playing 5 levels today, so play will conclude in just under 75 minutes time. On our first hand back from break, first hand of the new level, first hand of this feature table, we see a raise from Gary, the chip leader. He's made it 5,500 from the hijack. It's just too good, right?
It's too much. It's too good to be true. It's a gift. We've been gifted Gary.
Now we have a 3-bet from the second biggest stack at the table. James Salmon has made it 13,500. Looks like the action has come back around to Yaroshevskyy. All right, Gary?
That is a ridiculous stack, isn't it? This early. I mean, I know there's often some guy that comes in and just romps it, but that is just ridiculous.
Well, there was a great piece on the PokerStars blog earlier on. Remember, follow the guys on Twitter at PokerStars blog, and then you get alerts when they're publishing a new piece or a link to their live updates. They pointed out that when there were 96 players remaining, Yaroshevskyy had what would be an average stack with 16 players remaining.
Wow.
Just think about that for a second.
That is ridiculous.
A reminder, the hashtag on Twitter, PokerStarsTV. Matt, of course, is across the Twitch chat, twitch.tv/PokerStars. If you want to watch on that particular platform, you can join the live chat there as we see a continuation bet from Salmon of 8,500 on a King 7-6 all-club flop.
What a fish.
And Gary folds.
There you are.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciated it.
Yeah, I thought, you know what, you might be missing Joe, so I thought I just get it in there. You know, it's not the same, isn't it? The problem is, one of the beauties of Joe is that he can say anything and have no shame, whereas as soon as I said it, I already felt dirty.
Well, let me have my attempt then. No one outswims the salmon.
Yeah, it just doesn't work, does it? I think we just have to wait for Joe to come back here. He'll get hold of it.
So yeah, the plan for tomorrow, and that's when we move on to 90-minute levels, is to play 4 rather than 5. And the same probably on day 4. And we think that will probably take us to around 16 players. And on day 5, we play down to the final 6. And then we'll have cards up coverage of those 6 players as they play down to a champion on Monday. Hopefully you can watch us every day on PokerStars.tv, kicking off our coverage at noon Eastern Standard Time every day except the final day when, because we'll be on delay with Cards Up coverage, we'll be kicking off at 1 p.m.
Yeah, I'm not getting involved in the whole time zone thing. I've just told them whatever time they came to us today to do the same thing tomorrow. I think we just take it day by day. Keep it simple, yeah. How did you do in the free roll, by the way?
Not great. I noticed that we were starting with fewer chips than normal. I've asked it to be looked into.
Right.
Meanwhile, Undersea Monkey points out, okay, Yaroshevskyy, who's raising here from under the gun +2, he has 300 big blinds, but who among us hasn't dusted that off in a matter of minutes in a cash game from time to time?
Well, as I said, that's why it's called No Limit. You know, is that he can do whatever he wants with those chips. I've got a feeling he is not someone that is going to be doing anything rather stupid and rash anytime too soon, though. I think he is going to be a mountainous chip leader for some while to come.
Well, that was a very simple raise and take it for Gary. Just in case you missed the anecdote from earlier on, by the way, we're not taking the Michael. His friends say he is known as Garrick, which is the Russian version of Gary, I guess, and that's why we are referring to him as Gary.
And we were wondering about Garry Kasparov, the famous Russian chess master, whether he was an Igor who was simply known as Gary. Anyway, anyone want to Google that? You help yourself. Fill your boots.
So earlier on, the prize pool was announced. 366 total runners, a prize pool of just shy of $1.8 million, a first prize of nearly $300,000, a min cash worth $7,720. And we've obviously referenced a few times the fact that the field is not what we're used to seeing on the tour, on the live events we cover, but we are in Latin America, and to run a 5K event in this part of the world is unusual, almost unheard of. And apparently, and I rely on various members of the poker media and people who know this part of the world better than I do, that to get more than 350 players for an event with that buy-in in this region is an amazing achievement.
Good.
And sure, we'd have liked it if maybe more of the circuit regulars had come here, but there is so much going on right now. There's so much choice. And I know that many people said, do you know what? I can only make one, Panama or Macau. I'm going to have to skip one, and obviously some chose Macau over Panama.
No, absolutely. And also, let's not forget, it did take like 13 seasons back at the EPT to get it all right and get all the, you know, the timings right. And everyone just got very used to all those established stops. But we're kind of starting over here with a bunch of new venues, new territories, new players.
And I should point out, by the way, this venue is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The place we're staying, the Sortis, is a very nice venue. So I'm hoping that word of mouth will mean that people realize that, you know, if we come back here next year, whether it's a championship or a festival, that the field may grow.
Yep. And I heard you asking Joe, but I don't know if anyone's asked you, what are you making of Panama? What are your experiences like here so far?
Well, by the way, Yaroshevskyy involved in another hand here.
Yeah, I should have known.
He opened. Benedictis called and decided to bet flop when Yaroshevskyy checked. Don't worry, Matt, I'm not evading the question.
No, that's all right. Yeah, no, we need to learn these new players.
So once again, Gary checks the action to Benedictis.
I tried. I don't know if you noticed. I did. It was subtle. Yeah, it has to be. It has to be. I'm glad you guys noticed that. I did.
Gary has a very serious stare.
Man, he is quite intimidating with that jacket and those chips. Never mind Tito Ortiz. This guy looks like he would smash it to bits.
I feel like it's a very personal thing. Like with some people, like
Great to see Tito double up before the break. Remember, you can follow his progress on the outer tables via the PokerStarsblog.com. Obviously, if anything major happens, big double up for Tito, or heaven forbid a big loss, we'll try and cover that with our team on the floor.
No, just a while ago.
So the bet here is 12,100.
I'm going there. I didn't play it hard rock.
Wow, Gary, I mean, clearly wants to win every single pot that he plays.
Yes, I'm going.
Surrender is not in his vocabulary. He calls the bet. Oh, nearly.
Oh,
Now he does.
So many good things about it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he is just an absolute action junkie, because that stack can't have just come about by a couple of big key hands. He's
Over there, and it is a great.
just clearly looking to get involved in every single hand.
Well, this is going to get checked to showdown once the board pairs on the river. And with a jack, Gary is good, and he wins another pot, adding another 30,600 to his stack.
Man, it might just be that if you're on that table, you have to just forget about him, avoid him, and just play a little sub-game. You know, just the guys with 72 big blinds down to 12. Just make a smaller ring of it.
So we mentioned Tito Ortiz going back out into the field. Obviously, we wanted to catch up with him during the break, and our man on the floor, Paul, asked him about his stint on the TV stage.
Okay, so you've just spent the last 2 levels at the feature table. How's it gone?
Ah, God, the beginning of it was just horrible. I was just getting bad hands, bad beats, and I found myself as being almost a short stack. And the last 2 hands actually turned out really well for me. Really well.
I mean, tell me what just happened. Obviously, you were all in for all of it.
Well, you know, the guy went in, I think, 6,000, so I was like, you know, here's my opportunity to make a little money off the pocket jacks, and I put in 20. He looked at me and asked me how much I had. I said, a little bit over 100. He put me all in. And I said, you can put me all in if you want. And they said, you can't talk to it unless there's about only 2 people playing. And I was like, okay, I don't understand that rule. I'm still learning. I'm not a pro yet. I'm still learning. But pulled it off. Trips, first turn.
So obviously we're keeping a close eye on Tito's progress, but a reminder that obviously you can also follow the outer table action via the blog. So let me answer your question, Matt. You asked about how I'm finding Panama.
Yes.
I have to say my Panama experience is pretty much confined to this particular venue.
Right.
Panama, to me, is the Sortis Hotel, which does have an amazing pool, by the way, which you have spotted me in on numerous occasions.
yeah. I think everyone at home, this is just between me and you, I think James every morning he gets in the pool and then he just floats outside my room, just waiting for me to open my curtains at some point so he can wave to me and then swim off. It's just what makes him happy.
What has surprised me, and it seems like such a bad thing to complain about because obviously we are in Latin America, I'm surprised how few people speak English. And especially at this hotel, which does seem to cater for an international market. And unfortunately, while I can muddle my way through in French and German, Spanish, no chance. So I just end up speaking slowly and making hand signals and looking like an absolute dumb tourist.
Yeah, we are spoiled. But similarly, this is somewhere where you, as you rightly say, you would expect to sort of get away with it because it's a tourist trap. It's an amazing location. It's a gorgeous hotel. So you kind of expect that everyone is probably going to talk better English than you do.
Oh, this is unfortunate. Obviously, we wanted this feature table because we really wanted to see the chip leader in action. And sadly, he's being balanced off.
Well, so what? We just finished now. We just finished for the day, yeah. I imagine everyone at this table is hugely relieved.
The man with all the chips is disappearing as we say goodbye to Gary, which is a great shame, but that's the way it works. Obviously, he was due to take the big blind. They needed to balance the tables.
Yep.
They take that player. They're not going to let our live stream requirements get in the way of the running of the tournament.
Well, quite, and every now and then it is just good to have something like this happen to remind people that we don't influence the tournament badly. We just watch what's happening anyway. It's one of those things. We've still got Andrew here. We know him. We've still got some new friends to meet at this table. We've also got a couple of pretty short stacks. So I'm hoping we see a bit more than just grinding. I know I'm a bit, for selfish reasons, I like to see people who have their tournament lives on the line.
Meanwhile, Michael Zajac has got in touch on Twitter, hashtag PokerStarsTV. Michael played in the recent PokerStars TV home game. You may have missed out on this one. If you don't listen to the podcast, you wouldn't have heard about it. Michael says, thanks for being terrible at poker, Matt. Just kidding. Because Michael eliminated Waster from that tournament, claimed his bounty, which was the PokerStars shark, which has clearly arrived in the post, because there is a picture of said shark with Michael's cat.
No, it was a pleasure. Yes, I'm glad that I was poor enough that all of you had a good chance at my bounty, and I'm glad the shark appeared in one spot. Bob, incidentally, is followed up to the Garry Kasparov.
Yes.
Saying his given name is Garrick, same as our Igor, our chip leader. Garrick is usually the diminutive form of Igor, just not in Kasparov's case. So it's just a Garrick thing. So there's Garrick as a given name and Garrick as a kind of a diminutive form of Igor. How strange. It's like you've made a name shorter by making it longer. It's like VWs and Volkswagen.
So let's pick up the action here, which was all about Garry, but now he's gone from the table. Some other players have a chance to try and win some chips. This is a raise from Roman Pavliuk in the cutoff. James Salmon in the big blind. Defending by the looks of things, so we'll have a flop. Heads up action. Queen 9-9.
Dry.
No, that's true. I could actually.
I mean, maybe not. If it was like, if it gets really close, then I think it's pretty boring.
Yeah, it will vary.
It would just do. Everyone would be stalling.
Meanwhile, those of you paying attention to the ticker in the top right-hand corner of the screen will see we are down to 82 players. We are 11 away from making the money. Can we get through 59 minutes of poker without losing enough players to force us into hand-for-hand and force us into world-famous bubble coverage here on day 2?
I mean, is there even anything standing by to be activated? That's my main concern. With 2 players just on our feature table at 11 and 12 big blinds.
Well, if you're watching earlier on, and if you follow the poker world on Twitter, you may have heard this already, but Neil Johnson, our head of live poker operations, who's normally a huge part of our world-famous bubble coverage, is not well right now. He's been in hospital for a few weeks, and he's going to be at home recovering from a serious illness for the next few weeks. So we're not going to see Neil here in Panama, probably not going to see him in Monte Carlo even. So we send our best wishes to the whole Pope, and obviously we want him back on the circuit, back at our events and in the booth ASAP.
Here, here. Becknacall, meanwhile, gets us to the river.
And normally when Neil's not available, we have Luca in the booth, and he's running the main event today. So you're absolutely right. We are kind of Son's world-famous bubble coverage correspondents.
Exactly. We just don't have the bodies.
So this went check on the flop. Salmon led the turn for 6,500. Now the 5 of hearts, which looks pretty inconsequential, has hit the river. I guess 6-7 got there.
Well, seems a bit speculative, but can't argue with it. Check from Salmon. Back to Pavliuk.
Thanks to Andy Gibbons for pointing out that the bounty he claimed for knocking me out of the PokerStars TV home game has also arrived in the post. There is Andy modelling the everyone loves a chop pot baseball cap.
Limited edition.
I bet a 15,000 from Pavliuk on the river gets the job done. James Salmon, table chip leader, by the way, now that Gary's departed. 160,000, which is just above average. 134,000 the tournament average with 82 players remaining. So we've got 2 short stacks, 2 players in the danger zone.
Danger zone!
Dmitry Ivanov and Roman Papacek.
I heard, Joe, earlier on you threw an extreme danger zone at him. I thought he was gonna pop something the way he went for it.
I think had Joe's throat been in better shape, we might have seen more of a dramatic danger zone.
I think he's got a couple more levels in him.
Peut-être un jour. Exactement. Et la même chose pour toi. Merci.
By the way, here is a hashtag fun fact.
Oh.
Andrew Chen, obviously a very accomplished poker player, and studies the game by watching a lot of footage online. And apparently he watched the final table of Dublin 2016, Gilles Bernier's heads up against Dmitry Ivanov, and was inspired by the Bernier's look.
Wow.
Which is why Chen is currently modelling the
Right.
top knot.
Lovely. It's good to see a man bun on the feature table. I miss it. What about the breathing? Did he say he's going to work on that as well? Because that's
I
a
think
big part
that's
of the
his
game.
plan for 2018.
Right.
Just go with the hair for 2017
Yeah.
and then take it to the next level for 2018. And I can assure you this information is as genuine as my reasoning for Balboa being the password of today's
Excellent.
free roll.
Okay. Ruben is curious to clear up. What was it that Tito Ortiz was talking about when he said about only two people in the hand and not being allowed to speak?
I think he was referring to the fact that there were two opponents, so effectively it was three-way action.
Yeah.
And obviously when a hand is heads up, a certain amount of speech play is allowed, but when there are three people in the hand, you shouldn't really be discussing what possible holdings your opponent might have or how strong your hand is. The rule is there are certain things you can't say at all, but it's a lot more liberal when you're just heads up.
Yeah. Yeah, Jose Gonzalez was still behind Tito's opponent at that point.
Well, there is the Bernier's look. Someone's breathing heavily into their microphone. It
Yes.
may not be Andrew Chen, but someone's got a touch of the Gilles, who, by the way, was on my flight on the way over here. I'll tell an interesting story about that when we record the podcast in a couple of days' time.
Oh.
Poker in the Ears and Eyes, Panama edition, coming your way probably during the last 2 days of our coverage here on PokerStars.tv.
As always being asked, why don't we show the whole cards? You're going to have to wait until Monday when we're down to our last table, our final table. Generally speaking, we'll come back with 6 for that last day. 1 p.m. local time here in Panama. I'll let you work it out.
I can do a few conversions for people.
Okay.
There's a 5-hour time difference between Panama and London.
Right.
So if you're in the UK, it's going to be 6 p.m. If you're in Central Europe, it's going to be 7 p.m. And just to be clear, if you're on the east coast of the United States, who is that breathing?
It's not me.
It's just a wind-up now, right?
Maybe Joey's out there somewhere.
I mean, the fact that when I drew attention to it, it got worse. I'm starting to think that it's someone on our team, and this is just one huge troll.
It could be Pavliuk maybe. He's kind of his head down, and maybe his nostrils are just perfectly aligned with our microphone. And now it's stopped. Now that it's looked up, I'll come back to you on that. I'm on it. I'm investigating. Ruben says, thanks for clearing that up about the 3 players rule. That's fine. Generally speaking, if you're going to do any chit-chat, it's only when there's 2 of you left. That's a simple thing. And even then, wherever you play, make sure you know what their rules are, because it's not one of those things that's very consistent. You might find there you go to give it a bit of the old speech play, and actually suddenly they mack your hand and give you a penalty and you're out of the tournament. So generally speaking, anything that isn't black and white as far as hand rankings and blind structures, wherever you're playing in the world, make sure you know what their specific rules are when it comes to things like that.
Well, that sounded like thunder. I know we've had some heavy rainstorms here in Panama City.
They come out of nowhere. Yeah, I don't think that's thunder. A raise from Andrew Chen. Looks like that's going to get the job done. Oh, no, I tell a lie. Jonathan is going to defend his big blind. Now, Mr. Abdellatif, where did we last see him?
I think we've seen him at a few events. I think he's a regular on the European circuit, and certainly back in the days of the European Poker Tour. Remember that, Matt?
Oh, God, I've forgotten all about that thing.
So 10-7 deuce on the flop, 2 hearts. Looks like the action's gone check, check as we get the King of Hearts. Another strawberry on the turn, and the board gets flushy.
Well, one would imagine a large percentage of the time that might be all the ammo that the pre-flop raiser needs to have a little pop of this. 15k in the middle. And sure enough, Andrew does find a bet.
So Abdellatif deciding whether to call this 6,200. Of course, a check raise is very much a possibility. But in this case, it is just a call as this hand goes to the river. Oh, it's now paired. King of diamonds. Abdellatif has quickly checked. It's 27,400 in the middle. Decision on Chen. He checks behind. So this hand goes to showdown, and looks like Chen has the winner with a pair of tens, beating the pocket fours.
Wow.
Of Jonathan Abdellatif.
Interesting.
So Chen among the heroes still remaining in the field. There's a few familiar faces, as you can imagine. A lot of the circuit regulars made it into this tournament. Steve O'Dwyer is playing a stack of around 80,000 at the moment. Daniel Dvores, pretty similar, 85k. Jason Wheeler is among the chip leaders. Jason Kuhn, also a big stack. So follow those updates via the PokerStars blog as we focus on the players on the main stage for another 48 minutes. That's how much time there is to run on this level and on the day. As we drop down to 81, that means we are 10 off the money, 9 away from hand for hand.
Ooh, it's going to be a close one. Roman and Dmitry. Well, actually, Jonathan to a degree as well, under 20 big blinds, so you just don't know.
I mean, the average stack right now is well above the 50 big blind mark. They've been playing between a 60 and 70 big blind average for most of the day, and yet that hasn't slowed down the action. There's a lot of players who are, for want of a better phrase, just blasting off.
Yeah. Well, don't forget, we're in a different part of the world, and perhaps we've kind of forgotten that there was a while ago where you would be in France or you'd be in Spain, or and you would have a certain expectation, because obviously we know there's always a large percentage of the field would be made up by the locals, and lots of different countries would have a different, I mean, the Greeks have one way of playing and the Spanish have another. We've kind of got used to our regs, and also the fact that the poker world as a whole kind of has more global trends now rather than such regional. But here we are in a brand new territory, a brand new part of the world for us. So maybe it's just going to be a bit more wham-bam because the guys aren't into tanking and min betting, and they'd rather just be a bit more aggressive, which suits me, to be honest.
Well, Chen has opened here in early position, and he's been 3-bet by James Salmon.
Salmon.
Chen calling. Playing a 3-bet pot out of position without the betting lead. The flop, ace, king, jack.
Pretty swift check from Chen back to the aggressor. I mean, the thing is, you know, you look at Andrew's opening raise with that original range, excuse me, that original raise. The fact he was prepared to call the re-raise from Salmon.
Oh, nice to hear on Twitter from Robin Smith. Robin is normally a member of our crew the man responsible for the gratuitous slow motion replays you've come to know and love on PokerStars TV. Robin not with us here in Panama, but he says he's enjoying the coverage. Meanwhile, he's been rolling slow-mo dogs for Crufts and slow-mo jiu-jitsu for Abu Dhabi Media. See you in Monte Carlo. We will see you there, Robin.
He is very much the world premier slow-mo guy. I think anyone that wants slow-mo, they go to Robin first. Maybe he's not available, maybe it's the dogs or the jiu-jitsu, but when he's available, no one slows down video footage like he does.
As I'm sure you know, the next live stream here on PokerStars TV will be from Monte Carlo. We are not going to be in Macau. No webcast from the next leg of the PokerStars Championship, but we will give you 5 days of main event coverage from Monte Carlo and indeed from Sochi, which is happening at the end of May.
I hope Monte Carlo doesn't feel bad that we've become so excited about other places. It used to be the be-all, end-all of our year, and now it's just one of the amazing places we go to.
Well, it was the end of the season, wasn't it? And now, of course, our season runs in line with the calendar year. The PokerStars Championship 2017 starts in January, concludes in December.
So the rich get richer, top of our table. James Salmon now with 187,000. Andrew sitting in third spot.
Bye-bye.
Dmitry Ivanov with just 24.4 thousand, 10 big blinds.
Yes, in case you missed the announcement, we added an event in between Monte Carlo and Barcelona. The Sochi Casino and Resort is going to host the biggest poker tournament Russia's ever seen. It's taking place at the very end of May, just before the poker world heads to Vegas, and you can qualify now for the main event on Stars. Just search Sochi in the tournament lobby. They're guaranteeing the prize pool. The reason why we say approximately $2.6 million, the guarantee is in rubles, and at the current exchange rate, it's $2.6 million, but that could fluctuate slightly. But it should be a pretty juicy event. If you want more information, head to PokerStarsLive.com. 30 tournaments in total, including that main event, with a buy-in of approximately $5,000 US. It's a place that's familiar to most people in the world from hosting the Winter Olympics a few years back. And it's now one of the few places in Russia where you can legally play poker and has this brand new casino that's just opened.
Facilities. Although I'm being asked on Twitch, why aren't we going to be beaming from Macau?
Logistics.
They are.
I don't want to bore people with the realities of transporting equipment and bits of set around the world, but it was always going to be tough with Panama, Macau, and Monte Carlo back to back. And we always knew that we were only going to be able to do 2 out of the 3. And just in terms of what made sense from a date point of view, it made sense to skip Macau, which obviously we're disappointed about. We'd love to be there, and I know Joe is absolutely beside himself because he loves Macau.
Yeah.
He never shuts up about the blooming place. But also I think time zones.
Yes.
The reality is, here we are, you know, on Eastern time in the US, which obviously is hitting the evening in Europe, so it works.
Yeah.
Macau, we'd be going live at noon local time, which would be like 5 in the morning in Europe. Not really ideal.
No.
And ultimately, that's where our core audience still is. Not that we don't love you, rest of the world.
Just want to make that quite clear. Very keen on you.
You're very welcome wherever you are, but understandably, because obviously we built up an audience over so many years of covering the European tour, that most of the people who watch us are in Europe, and it just doesn't work for a European audience broadcasting from Macau.
No.
Now, in future years, if there's a bit more separation and we can get the team out there and get everything set up in time, we'd love to do a stream from that event, but this time around, it just ain't going to work. Sorry. I'm pretty sure that every other championship this year we should be okay for. We're going to be in Monte Carlo, we're going to be in Sochi, we're going to be in Barcelona, and we expect further events to be announced for the tail end of 2017. And whether there's 2 or 3, we're hopefully we can be at all of them.
There you are. Thank you for your question. Being asked how long on the day, 40 minutes. Unless we go hand for hand. It has at least stayed at 81 for about 10 minutes now.
Well, the thing is, talking to the tournament staff during the last level, and I'm saying, surely, we know how these things work. At some point, it slows down. It becomes a bit more static. Yeah, we expected that to happen during the second level, and the third, and the fourth, and it didn't, and we were still breaking 3 tables.
Yeah. Fast game's a good game, as I used to say. That's certainly what everyone seems to be getting here. Folding round, just blind on blind. Roman Papacek against Andrew Chen. And that's an all-in from the second shortest stack at our table. Andrew does not look like he's about to call that.
Yeah, so Monte Carlo, as well as obviously streaming 5 days the main event, before we start the webcast, we've got our TV shoot. As people know, we're doing this new cash game series, the PokerStars Championship Cash Challenge. I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who took part in the online qualification games. I hope you enjoyed those tournaments. They were something a bit different, a kind of cash gamey formatty tournament. And thanks to everyone who qualified and submitted a video. Our team is working through those videos at the moment, shortlisting potential candidates. We're going to be interviewing potential candidates and hopefully by the beginning of April announcing which 2 lucky PokerStars players are going to be coming to Monte Carlo and are going to be staked to play in that 25-50 cash game.
And they're going to get to meet Media Person of the Year Joe Stapleton, as I understand it. Is that an established part of the package? Is that guaranteed to?
Well, obviously, at the point that we offered the package, he hadn't won that award, so we couldn't overpromise and underdeliver.
Right.
But yes, we're throwing that in as a bonus.
Wow! I mean, that really, that's it. I mean, that's just the icing on the cake, isn't it? Joe of the Year. Being asked a couple of the usual questions about how many Polish in the field, how many badgers. No badgers this year, but if you want to know about some of the different players, don't forget to check out the PokerStars blog. And follow them also. Don't forget, they're not just there for a website. Papacek is all in again. Seems like any opportunity.
35-1.
Andrew and James still in this small blind and big blind.
So, open shoving from the button. Chen with the decision in the small.
Fold, fold.
Big blind you call.
Oh, cheeky chuckle.
Big blind you call.
Probably.
What's the red line? Gin tonic or?
How long do we play? Any idea?
Oh,
That's
who
it,
is
that's the end of
that?
I think it's Nostrils. I think it's Roman Pavliuk. He seems to like have his head down, and I think his nostrils are just perfectly aligned with the microphone.
the Want to flip for who's paying? I have an edge here because I'm taking something more expensive than you do. Or just
Okay.
I mean, you would know that. But
That's fair. I was gonna pay anyways, but we could. That's fair. That's more fun.
we can bet on like the next flop we see if we ever.
Red or black?
Yeah.
If we ever
So
get
what
to
do
a
you
flop in the next 36 minutes.
Should I leave black to you, or is that,
What are you trying to say?
is that not okay for me to say that?
I feel like that had a racial undertone.
Well,
No, I'm just kidding. But I'm gonna go black.
no, I wasn't. No.
I'm gonna go black.
You're gonna go black?
It's explicit, right?
Yeah, that was not really an undertone. That was
I mean, like, just stating it. Well, yeah. Actually, it is. Yeah.
the tone.
I didn't just get this haircut because I like it. I mean,
It's
like, I have the
stylish.
extreme right.
I can't grow. It's like done. That's it. That's all I got.
It's gonna be tough. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
gonna be tough.
It's
But-
over for me.
You wear the hat really well, so.
It's my best move.
Round to Roman again. Can he shove for the third time in a row? No, he's out of this one.
All right, so you'll have black, I'll have red.
Yeah. Well,
What if it's a tie?
I don't think we're gonna get to a
it?
flop.
No. We might.
Anyways, the next one.
Switzerland being neutral might aid us.
Is that where he's from?
Yes. No, come on, man. Be a player. Just to facilitate things, I'll make an EV minus defend when someone opens on my blind, just so that we can scope a
Yeah,
flop.
if you have 2 black cards.
What is Go for Games? What's that about?
My boss casino.
Where is it?
My boss casino.
Ah.
In Czech Republic.
Yeah, we ordered the glass of Merlot and gin and tonic.
Are they gonna change it then to Czechia or not?
Merlot.
They were talking about that, right? To change the name from Czech Republic.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I know, yeah. But I read an article that
Yeah.
there's like gonna be a vote that they're gonna change it to Czechia instead of Czech Republic.
But no one.
Got to be careful about having conversations about anything with the word Czech in it while you're playing poker. Is
Very
my top
true.
tip. Or Lanistad, as well as another one to avoid.
Well, during the first level of play, there was a situation where Jake Cody asked the dealer, did my opponent check? And she thought he was saying check and was about
Right.
to deal the next card.
Yeah. Got to be careful out there. Those sort of things are mostly very innocent, but you can end up in a right sticky situation. So a raise under the gun from Jonathan Abdellatif. Big blind Dmitry Ivanov, who is the shortest stack of the table. That's going to hurt him to give up the big blind. But of course, a player under the gun raising always is going to look strong. The fact that he's raising into the big blind of a short stack kind of makes it look even stronger.
How else can we do it? Because I don't think we're going to see a flop before the wait. And again,
We might. You're in
You
the
got
big
30
ones.
minutes, Jonathan.
that's true.
The greatest chance, I believe.
Also, there's a fact that if you order anything here, you feel like they have to brew it first. So
But
we
it's
might
right
get
there,
lucky.
no?
Roman Papacek looks like he's sensing an opportunity. Nah. Tempting, but not tempting enough. Holding around. Febrice has been pretty quiet. Very aware of the short blind Dmitry Ivanov.
There we go.
So a similar scenario to the last hand. It's an under the gun raise into the big blind. Jonathan, of course, not under any kind of chip-related pressure.
Are you excited?
And at least the guys now get to decide who's paying for dinner.
Finally, right? What are we doing here?
Ah, man, what a slow roll.
And in case you're interested, I think that means that Jonathan has to pay for dinner.
You want to just give me a microphone?
Well, check after the flop, and now Jonathan going to put the pressure on Pavliuk, who's going to come along. Deuce of hearts on the end, 26,600. Pavliuk started all this and then gradually looked like he'd lost interest in it. And maybe just a cheap showdown is going to be good for Jonathan here. Pavliuk is also done with it. Jonathan doesn't look too happy with this. Is this a slow roll? Oh, well that's going to win. Not sure that holding on was necessary, but...
Did you do what I did there, where you were like, is that straight? Is that,
yeah.
No, it's not straight.
Yeah, no. Just want to make sure.
Consolation for I already paid, so you don't have to worry. Before we made the deal,
All right, you have like, what am I even talking about?
Yeah, but I paid already.
Oh, excuse me,
Right.
Andrew.
That is
Andrew got
definitely
hit there.
consolation. No, like, am I taking a double hit here?
I felt, you know, yeah. That's it. Oh, espérate. Oh, espérate.
Good news is 30 minutes to go and still the 81 players remaining. It's very much a race against time.
James. And you, Jonathan? Senor.
Roman Papacek keeping an eye on the clock. He knows that his time is limited unless he wants to come back with a 10 big blind stack for start to play tomorrow. Remind you, we're at 1200, 2400, 400 ante. James Salmon makes it 5k to roll. Salmon roll. Just the big blind to get through. Pavliuk versus Salmon. Roman is going to be first to act. Ace 6-5. 2 clubs, 14,000 up for grabs. Roman checks, Salmon continues and wins. Salmon up to nearly 190,000 now, just shy of 80 big blinds at this level. And celebrating with a warm glass of red.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yes.
Dmitry gonna really have to have some cards to play with in the next 26 minutes, or tomorrow is going to be a very tricky and potentially short day of work for him.
I do think there's probably enough awareness among the remaining 81 players that the bubble is looming, shall we say.
Yeah.
It's closing in, that play might start to slow down. But I think it's fair to say that with 81 remaining, with us being only 9 eliminations away from the bubble and hand-for-hand play, there is a very real chance that we'll see the bubble burst very early on day 3, probably during the first level of play. So make sure you're here at the very beginning. Make sure you're here at the start, or you might miss all the drama. I just hope, Matt, that the post-bubble bust-out bonanza isn't too much of a bonanza, or we're going to be at the final table midway through day 3.
I mean, we could always just keep playing and then we will get a couple of days off at the end of the trip. I mean, you know, it's fine, it's fine.
Think of the viewers, think of the fans. What are they going to watch?
Ah, they'll be fine. We'll put up some home game or something. We'll do a Twitch thing. They'll be happy.
We'll do a Twitch thing. Well, this is really well thought out, isn't it?
Look, I'm just spitballing up, just throwing it around at the moment. But as long as there's something, the kids don't mind. Our mod's being asked how long the action will last tonight. Just 25 more minutes.
Yeah, in the next 10 minutes or so, they will pause the clock and then draw for the number of hands to play.
What's going on?
He's watching the live stream here.
It's on the internet.
And then he starts to laugh. Like, yeah, that's
I promise you it'll be there in 25 minutes.
No delay, guys. Cards down. No information to be gained from the stream.
No. I mean, that's the beauty of our jobs.
What's your name?
Although, if any one of you is watching the stream and can identify who that is with the heavy breathing,
Is there a delay?
please let us know.
brief. Super brief.
Get him off that live stream then. No fair. Is that? I'm kind of not joking though.
I think mostly when people have come
wow,
to
so
our
you
featured
saw the
table.
last hand between you and I. Did you see that one yet?
There's no hole cards. No,
That's
they
what I
are
know.
told that when they come to
Yeah,
the featured
but-
table.
French?
Regardless of whether there are whole cards or no
Ah,
whole cards,
I
no
can't- I
one
can't.
at the table
Russian.
should be watching the stream.
No, Russian. No.
No, I think they're suggesting there's a chap nearby who's a friend of one of our featured players who has his iPad up and is watching us.
Oh.
And to him, I would say, sorry, just generally as a blanket comment. Lo siento.
Oh, Jerry Rice, 80. 9 away from the money now.
You're allowed to watch the live.
Sorry, guys.
Like,
You can't watch it, guys. Sorry. You can rewatch yourself.
yeah, like at the end. Yeah.
All in from
Take it
Jonathan
away before people
Abdellatif.
last hand.
There's no whole cards. No, it's fine, but just in case. No, I'm telling you. Yes.
Ah, there's no whole cards.
Yeah, no.
Ah, okay, I had it then.
He gets a card, flashes, and sees it.
Ah, okay. But he could watch. I don't care. I thought you could see the
I think
cards.
it's gonna happen, but
What's the point of this then? What's the point of that if you can't see the
For
cards?
afterwards.
Ah, okay.
It's amazing how we go through the same conversation with
Yeah.
every feature table,
Yeah.
every single day at every single event.
The Jack 3 hand. I mean, that was kind of interesting.
depends if someone goes deep.
Yeah.
That's how they usually end it.
Yeah.
Runeman is saying, I would much rather watch with the 30-minute delay and see no home cards. That's not the issue. It's just we can't do that for every single table left in the tournament, and therefore it would be simply unfair to these players who've been put on the featured table. Meanwhile, a different Ron says, I'm watching this in my car while locked out of the house. Well, at least... At least while you're trapped in your car, I hope waiting for someone to come and let you into your house. At least you're being entertained.
Matt, I need to know more. Is this chap locked out of his house because he's lost his keys? Has he been locked out of the house because he has annoyed, offended, upset the person he lives with?
I have just sent Ron a message saying we need more details.
Just bear in mind that if the details are kind of a sad, tragic story that's going to upset our audience, don't broadcast them.
Right.
Jack Scullion gets in touch saying, I miss Gary. We're all missing Gary.
We all miss Gary. He's such a lovely lad. I can't believe we'd been trailing it for about 10 minutes before the break. Into the break, we're going to catch up with the bitchy. I think we had 2 hands, which I think he won 1. No, I think 3 hands. He won 2 and folded 1. Not really the sample size we were hoping to bring you.
You can see it, but I don't think this hand is going to be on the rerun. It's not that dramatic. What do you mean if?
Looks like we've got a new player coming in, filling the seat that Gary was forced to vacate when we were balancing tables a short while ago. Obviously, with 80 players remaining, we're down to 10 tables of 8.
I've got a Ron update.
Oh, yeah.
He left the house and left his keys in the kitchen. So he's left the house, he's pulled the door shut, and the keys are still... I mean, you've got to do that pat down. You've got to go phone, wallet, keys. That's really just basic man.
My issue with this anecdote is that while it's not a painful, sad, tragic story that's going to upset everyone, it's also a really mundane and boring story.
Well, you know
we wanted
what?
something in between, something that had, like, you know, a bit of zip to it, but not so much zip that it was going to basically make the stream go off in a direction it shouldn't be going.
Okay, look, Ron, can you come back to me again with a slightly more embellished version, yeah? Just, you know, try and just pizzazz. Pizzazz is what I'm looking for.
You know, even if you just add in a leaky dishwasher in the kitchen where you left your keys.
Yeah.
We got an all-in here. Papacek shoving from the small blind. Abdellatif open from the cutoff to 6,100. The shove is for just shy of 37,000.
Sorry. What happened was I tried to like take my drink away, but the straw got stuck to my lip, and it just like.
Oh, the classic.
Yeah, the classic.
I feel like this, like they slow it down too, so it's like this. It's like.
So the new player who's taken a seat is Jose Rosenkrantz.
Call it a really good.
Hey, Rosenkrantz, where's Guildenstern?
I'm sure yours.
Oh, names.
But was it a flip, you think, or not? No. Yeah. Ace Jack.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You get fart gags and Shakespeare references here on PokerStars TV.
You can't say that we're not varied.
For you or for me? Not for me. I don't know, man.
The sad thing is, it's only day 2 of this tournament. We've already exhausted all of the fish salmon gags.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed very quickly we got through the 3 salmon-related jokes we could think of. Maybe Joe will sleep on. Maybe Joe right now is hunched over a laptop just trying to come up with salmon-based jokes, but... Wow, these guys are really going to town on the car guy. They really don't believe he's got separate house and car keys.
Seriously, who still has a car key on their keyring? A lot of car keys these days are just electronic fobs rather than actual keys. Why would you necessarily have that attached to anything?
My one's enormous. Mine's like a flick knife. You have to press a button and the whole key bit flies out. It's quite exciting.
Do you do that, Matt? Do you pretend that it's a flick knife?
Sometimes. Sometimes when I'm bored.
Do you like to quote Crocodile Dundee when you do it?
That's not a key. That's a key. No, I don't. But I might now. I'd not thought of that before.
So picking up the action here, under the gun raise from Salmon, called by Pavliuk in the cutoff. Action is now on one of our short stacks. Papacek folds. Andrew Chen in the small blind. Looks like Chen is calling. And Rosenkrantz folds. So we're going 3-way to the flop. That flop is 6-5 deuce with 2 clubs.
You can tell that some of our viewers are cultured because Jane Windsor's version of phone wallet keys is phone wallet keys glasses book. Because if you can find the time to just catch up on a bit of literature, why wouldn't you? Pavliuk reacts to the 2 checks ahead of him with a bet of 10k into the 22-1 pot.
Check raise from Andrew Chen.
Sweet.
Remember the blue chips of 5,000 each, so Chen has made it 30k. Salmon, who was the original raiser pre, has folded. Action back on Pavliuk. As we see Salmon take a swig.
Why?
No, Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
Pavliuk calling the check raise, heads up to the turn, and there is 82,000 in the middle. Neither player has pot behind. Action card on the turn, complete straight draws, flush draws.
In Costa Rica.
Honeymoon.
Yeah, I had in Costa Rica.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where?
1 hour, 20 minutes from San Jose.
Okay.
Like in some mountain. It's like a yoga retreat.
Yaco?
No, pero Jaco Beach, we went. It's no sand, it's like rocks.
No sand?
Yeah.
Rocks?
Chen does not follow through on that check raise on the flop. He checks the turn.
Unless this is another check raise scenario he's hoping for. Pavliuk is playing with his chips.
By the way, I didn't need to hear about what type of car keys the entire audience has.
Well, you kind of showed an interest in it, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I was just defending the guy who told the story on Twitch against all the non-believers. What I didn't want to do is create some crap mid-morning radio show phone-in. What kind of car key do you have?
It's because we haven't done any competitions. The viewers are just hungry for interaction.
Right.
Tomorrow.
Once we're through the bubble, once we're through the post-bubble bust-out bonanza, we're going to get you some competitions.
Yes.
We got to some prizes. Well, that's a call. 18,000 apiece. And we're going to the river.
Man, 118-1 in the pot, and biggest stack left behind, 47.5 for Pavliuk.
King of Hearts. Chen checks, and can Pavliuk make any convincing bet on the river that isn't all in?
It would seem a pointless venture, so it is indeed. Oh, hang on.
No, he said
Oh,
all
he
in.
did say all in. Sorry, I missed that.
He
Okay.
gets the glass triangle of death, and now Chen has a difficult decision, all in to call. Clock has been paused, which means very soon we'll be drawing for the last number of hands to be played tonight. That multilingual minx, Luca Vivaldi, making announcements in English and Spanish.
Unbelievable. What a talent.
4, yeah. 4 hands more. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Decision for Andrew Chen's tournament life, potentially. I mean, what kind of insane price is he getting here? 40,000 to win 160,000. Obviously, the pot's slightly skewed by Pavliuk having him covered.
You got a set?
It looks like.
Yeah, you got a set, right? That's a setup.
nuts,
That's a setup.
Chen has called all in, and
Uh-oh.
he has a set of fives, but Pavliuk has the nut flush, and that will see Andrew Chen sent to the rail in 80th place, taking us down to 79 players.
Pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Man, and Roman up to 204,900 now. Good timing. That will send you off to dinner with a smile on your
I mean, it's
face.
tough to fall against these young online whiz kids, but
Whippersnappers
what?
flatting with A7. Little fish in them.
On the check raise.
What's that?
Flatting where? On the check
No, I'm
raise?
saying you made a comment and then I said flatting with A7.
Oh.
Don't worry.
Everyone does what he or she wants to, right?
Yeah, of
I
course.
don't really think you should be talking about how a player played the hand when they're sitting right next to you.
maybe they've already established that his English isn't good, and it's
strategy
just.
at the table is not what we want to be doing.
Oh, they are,
I mean,
boys.
I don't know why you keep going at it. Like, I really try to avoid it, but okay. I'm just gonna say it out loud. You know,
It's pretty clear.
stating the bleeding obvious.
Well, the guy sitting there with 85 big
PhD in
blinds, so
that.
good for him. Meanwhile, Tito Ortiz, who obviously is now one of the outer tables, will very
Not just
soon be
deflection,
drawing for how many
stating the
hands we're
bleeding
going to play before
yeah.
day 2's in the
The
books.
deflection, yeah.
Fernando.
I think a more interesting way would be to see how many people he can choke out in a minute, and however many people he can render unconscious. That's how many more hands we'll play.
Trying to deflect, but then women have this. Evolution has made it so that they are very tenacious and ignore the deflection. And
Yeah, they
keep
just
bringing
get
you
in
back to it.
What?
So there's really no escaping.
They're relentless.
Yeah.
Okay, let's give Tito the choice of cards and let him pick how many more hands we're going to play on day 2 of this main event.
Punch it.
What is it, Tito? What is it?
Oh.
What a decision. Big decision, yeah.
Oh, he's changed his mind.
They say go to the middle.
And the winner is Emma Stone, La La Land.
Three hands.
Thank you,
3, 4,
Tito.
5, and 6, right?
Oh, great. And that's the lowest one that wins, right?
Right, you're gonna play the last 3 hands.
Okay, so 3 more hands to play. And we are going to be done for the day after those 3 hands. I think it's safe to say, Matt, that with 79 remaining and only 3 hands to play, it's now unlikely that we're going to hit the bubble tonight.
Oh, James, you know what you've done. You've gone and said that
Yeah,
out loud,
I
haven't
knew
you?
it was a really daft thing to do.
As soon as you started the sentence, I thought, oh, God, he's going to go there.
Both check. Like, is it my Arab last name or what is it? Like, I try to facilitate things. I gave him change. She checked. He checked. Like,
What's happening?
Oh, man. My brethren have made it so hard for us.
So cards in the air, the first of 3 hands being played on the feature table. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the 3 biggest stacks in the tournament at the tail end of day 2.
Gary.
There is Gary, Igor Yaroshevskyy. He's actually down a bit since we last saw him.
Yeah. He was about 750, wasn't he, previously?
But still hovering around the 700k mark. That is Kaufman Tally. He's playing 520,000.
Good beard, good beard.
And we believe the guy who's third in chips right now is Denis Timofeyev, who's got 400,000.
Well, meanwhile, let's see how the first of our last 3 hands is rolling. And it has been folded all the way round to Roman Papacek, who now actually has enough chips to kind of play a hand legit rather than just having to shove.
No way.
Obviously, anyone that goes up against him is going to know. Got to be careful, going to find themselves fully committed to his effective stack. James Salmon in the big blind. James, not afraid to tangle with the Roman. Queen 5, 4, 2 spades, 14k to fight over.
Seguro. Should I count? Okay, sorry.
Check, check. They get to share an 8 of spades. 3 spades. Must be so tempting. I was going to say, it must be so tempting to take a shot at this, but Papacek's just got the sort of stack where if he just suddenly shoved back at you, you just, one, wouldn't be surprised, and two, might hate life on a number of different levels.
There's the fold.
Phew. So just 2 more hands on our feature table. Might be some outer tables still dragging their heels. Considering we've seen a fair few players, speed of play, encouragingly good.
Yes, for
You
sure.
know, not any serial, just that habit of just dwelling for fun.
So as day 2 draws to a close with just 2 more hands to play, certainly on our feature table, worth reminding you that tomorrow is day 3. We're going to play 4 90-minute levels. So today slightly shorter than normal. Same applies to tomorrow. We do expect the bubble to hit very early doors. We then expect the post-bubble bust-out bonanza. We also promise some competitions.
Yeah.
So plenty of reasons to join us at noon Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. Central European Time for day 3 of the PokerStars Championship Panama main event. I heard the words all in. I think it's Dmitry Ivanov who's been presented with the glass triangle of death.
Working its way around the table. Rosenkrantz, who hasn't really been very involved since he came to our featured table a bit earlier on in the level. It is his button. Looks interested. Being asked on Twitch, will we talk more about car keys tomorrow? Because I'm not sure he's going to tune in otherwise. We'll pick it up. We'll see what the audience dictates there, Sorcerer.
People watching on Twitch, press 1 if you want more car keys chat, 2 if you'd rather steer clear of this dull topic.
I've got a good feeling about the car keys. I'm going to have to develop some car key related competition.
De Benedictis has called, and it's ace-6 against ace-3. It is domination nation. However, there is a 36% chance of a chop. Both players with relatively small aces. As things stand, Ivanov is 40% favourite to double up.
Car keys definitely doing pretty well in the poll, James. I'll come back to you on that one after this key hand.
Oh, domination rotation as a 3 hits the flop. And Ivanov is now looking for a 6. Well, we're going to be down to 78 players. No additional outs. Ivanov will be eliminated unless there is a 6 on the river.
Slim pickings.
Still gonna be big blind this way.
The river is a queen. That is the end of Dmitry Ivanov. His chips go to Febrice de Benedictis from Switzerland, one of our spin and go qualifiers. Febrice is a security technician specializing in alarms. 25 years old, and this is his first major tournament.
Well, that's going to feel like a fantastic way to text everyone and say, I made it through day 2.
He gets bad beat it, and I get the big blind.
So I think we have one more hand to play on the main stage.
I agree with you.
I find consolation in the drink.
Right? It was perfect timing for the drink.
I mean, I like the way you anticipated that. Like 40 minutes before the end of the day, you're just like, yeah, I like it, I like it. This is a man with vision. Clarity of vision.
Have you tallied the votes? Are we going for more car key chat tomorrow or no car key chat tomorrow?
People would not only like to talk more about their car keys, but they'd like a competition to win a car key.
Wow.
So that I'm going to have to really think about. And by really think about, I mean ignore and hope that by tomorrow everyone's forgotten.
I think that's a solid strategy.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Final hand of the night as far as the feature table is concerned. Obviously, we'll see what's happening out in the field. Papacek open shoving from under the gun plus
check
one.
people. I understand the Slovakians now.
Big friend of Papa Smurf.
Is this where if Joe were here, he'd say Papa check, more like Papa shove?
Probably.
Good day.
He's a liar though, so I would count it.
Good day.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey, come on, I need double.
You're not gonna get.
I mean, like if there's no cameras, I can bullshit you. But now, like,
Huh? Ace 4. Ace 4.
Ace 4.
One of the cards was pretty tiny.
how do you get these hands?
Is that kings?
It looked like pocket kings to me.
Ace 4.
So players concluded on the main stage. We're just going to check there's no significant action out in the field. As things stand, 78 players are going to be coming back for day 3.
Maybe I collect them. I have many, anyways.
Remember, we'll break a table when we get down to 72, and that's when we'll go hand for hand. And when we get down to 71, we will have burst the bubble and we will be in the money, with everyone guaranteed a slice of the $1.775 million prize pool, a min cash worth $7,720. So looks like players finished everywhere. The entire field is bagging and tagging. They're going to come back for day 3. I hope you will do the same. Here's how play ended at the feature table. Roman Pavliuk is going to be coming back with more than 200,000. The average stack around 140,000. We have got some low men in the field. Blinds tomorrow will be 1,500, 3,000 with a 500 ante.